Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Mommy Guide Inc. For those who are new to the channel, I am Mommy Lala. Yes, today is another midweek crafty night here at Mommy Guide Inc. And do you see? It feels like we're in the stars, right? Because it's almost the 4th of May, right? So advance May the 4th be with you, my friends, because I won't be going live at that time. Yes, I'm a Star Wars fan. All right, so early on in the chat, we did have Christelle, my newest crafty BFF. Hello, Christelle. Thank you so much for dropping by, my friend. She said, finally got the time change figured out. Yes, you guys changed an hour ahead again. So now we are 12 hours apart Eastern, okay, 13 hours apart Central, and 3 hours, no, not 3 hours, 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16 hours Pacific. There you go. And of course, we also have Linda earlier on. Hi, Linda. Yes, and they're both saying hi to each other. So for tonight, it's going to be a special episode in the sense that I won't be crafting. But I have been asked many times over, okay, especially the parents of my students and even my students, teacher or Mommy Lala, what do I need to actually, start doing what you're doing, like paper crafting, making cards, making scrapbooks? All right, so there are actually many things that you may use or can use, but if you just want the very basics, then I would also show it to you so that when people ask me, I will always now just refer them to this video, right? So I decided to create this one. And what a perfect timing as well, because do you know, my dear friends, especially those who are actually here in the Philippines, that YouTube just launched the YouTube shopping platform on YouTube, here at YouTube Philippines. Oh, we have a guest. We have a mosquito flying around in front of me. Anyways, okay, he wants to be, or she wants to be in the stream. All right, so I'm trying to shoo it away. Anyways, so you would see, okay, that if I will be showcasing some of the products. Okay, so you would see that when you go to my YouTube channel, like this one, so you would see, okay, that, okay, hold on. It's getting wonky. All right, so you would see that this is, right, my channel name. All right, and then the live chat, and underneath, okay, you would actually now see products, actual products, okay, like the ones I will be showcasing. So it's very similar to like the Amazon Live. If you've seen me on Amazon Live, yes, I do have an Amazon shop. Okay, so it's very similar. All right, so you can actually now click directly, okay, not just the link but the actual product itself, though this feature is only available for those within Southeast Asia. So if you're in the Philippines and within the Southeast Asia region, then you could actually access this one. So if you are in the other side of the globe, in the US, in Canada, and other parts, then you won't be able to see this one. But I do have a link that I will put on later on to my Amazon shop, where you can actually access these products as well. Yes, it says here that Mommy Guide Inc. earns commission on tagged products. So again, if you do decide that you want, okay, some of the products that I will showcase tonight, okay, so if you are based in Southeast Asia or here in the Philippines, then absolutely you can actually click directly onto that, to the product list underneath. I know that this is available also in other parts of the globe, but it was just recently released here. Okay, so my camera is very excited. Recently released here in the Philippines, actually just last week, and I was so blessed, and it was such a nice time to actually meet up with some of the other YouTube creators, and at the same time hear about how they are rolling out this thing. So it's very nice. I like it. So again, it's another way for our viewers and you, okay, others who would like to help out the channel, but at the same time, sometimes you just really don't know, or you are at a loss which one to buy first or which one to get. So I will be showcasing, or I will be now tagging, okay, the products that I will be using as much as I can. Again, you don't need to, okay? But in the event that you need to, I would appreciate it if you would use or tag, or go to my tag products and go through that. The price is the same. Sometimes it's even cheaper. All right, so without further ado, let me just go back to the chat. I saw somebody come in. Yes, my moderator daughter is saying hi to. Okay, she just got off from a meeting. And we have Dawn. Dawn, is Bitty Penny already done? I know our dear friend Toby, Bitty Penny is still live, I think. She does go live at the same day. So her Tuesday morning, no, it's Wednesday morning and my Wednesday night. Yes, there you go. Hi Jay. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, I love that. Look, there's even glue dots on there, Lala. Oh, you could see it. Oh, I thought you couldn't see it. Oh, that's nice. Thank you so much, Dawn. Because I haven't tried it actually. So I started tagging some of the products I used in the previous episodes. Okay, I'm trying to look for my phone. I was just holding it. Now I can't remember where I placed it. Oh, there it is. So you can see it. Let me see. You were able to see it, my Dawn? Okay, from my channel, you could see the what do you call this? This one? The scrolling, this one? Oh, because I showed it. All right, I got it. That's why you were able to see it, because I showed it like that. So you are allowed to tag up to 30. On Amazon, I'm allowed to tag up to 35 products during the live or or on a video. Okay, but here you can only tag up to 30 at a time, right? So it's nice, right? It's an exciting feature. I like testing things out, right? Oh, so you're able to see it because I scrolled like that. It's next. Oh, it's there. It's really there. Oh, okay. I thought you saw it because I was showing it on cam. I can't see it on desktop. Really, Sam? I see your shopping list in the chat. There you go. Yes, a little pop shows on the screen. All right. Thank you so much, my dear friends. I thought that if you're outside Southeast Asia, that you will not be able to see it. But that's great. That's great. That's great. All right. So, okay. Question for the day, my friends. Okay. What is your number one craft tool? Okay. Number one, just one. Okay, I just want to see. Okay, if you can actually narrow down into one. All right, so what is your favorite craft tool? Okay, so again, the episode is all about from basic or starter to superstar, right? So meaning from the very basic, and then if you want to add on, what do I recommend, or what can you buy, all right, if you want to, okay? Because there's just so many amazing and awesome products out there. And if somebody had guided me through what were the needed purchases earlier on, maybe I wouldn't have as many supplies as I have right now. Because truth be told, the more that you have, sometimes it's harder to actually start creating because, it's like option overload. Which one will I use, right? So at any rate, before we proceed, I would just like to say hi and welcome to those who are new to the channel, watching on live right now or lurking or on replay. I would also want to do a shout out for the members, okay, or who are actually participating in this live streaming challenge called the Who Dare Streams, okay? It's an eCam and cap show event. It started last Tuesday for me. and it will end Saturday. So for those who are in the US, it started Monday to Friday. So it's a 5-day challenge. I know, right? I'm already streaming. I've been streaming for 4.5 years. But sometimes it's nice to actually join these kinds of challenges because you get to know new people, and at the same time, there is, just because you've been live streaming for a long time doesn't mean you know everything, right? So there's always room for improvement. And so I decided to actually, hop in and get into the challenge. So thank you and welcome. All right, so let's see. What did you say? All right. Okay, Heart Made by Jay Cudillo. Okay, Heart Made by Jay Cudillo said scissors. Right? So it's hard to actually craft without scissors. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. Let me see. How about Dawn? Dawn is the craft visage. Or if you hear me say Dawn, that is her. So if Dawn or anybody in the chat is somebody that's new to you, I would highly recommend that you do check them out because they have amazing channels. If you can't find them on YouTube, they're probably on a different platform like Instagram. All right, there you go. So mine are, Sammy said, paper cutters. We use them a lot for projects at the university. All right, I can't do it with cutters. Okay, bone folders as well, said Sammy. Oh yes, bone folders, said Dawn. So paper cutter and bone folder. So Sammy and Dawn, the same. Okay, a good pokey tool, said Jay. Oh, speaking of Jay and I, my dear friends, will actually be going live this Saturday for me evening, and for you guys Saturday morning. I hope that you could also join me and Jay this weekend. Okay, for another episode of Faith Journaling here in the channel. And this time around, I'll be going on the back seat, okay, because the main, driver, so to speak, for this episode is going to be Jay. All right, so please do, if you have time, okay, join me and Jay this weekend. Okay, for Crystal, it's small paper guillotine cutter. All right. So in a way, right? So most of us have, you have mentioned something that can cut. So a cutter, a guillotine cutter, or a trimmer. Okay. So Mommy Guide has been collecting craft supplies longer than I've been alive. Exactly. Right. So if you want to take a peek, all right, of my craft room, and what I have and have built up over the decades. Again, my friends, I want to stress on the decades. This is not something that I built up overnight. Still, I know it's a little bit of excess. That's why I'm working on that. Okay, I'm trying to share rather than declutter, because really decluttering for me is hard. Okay, but I like sharing. All right, so that's why I made a club called Joyful Crafters Club. So if you want to be part of that, just put it in the chat and I will send you an invite, because yes, it's open for international as well. All right, so Mommy Guide. Okay, there you go. Hi, Sammy from Christelle. All right, and of course, Dawn also saying hi to Sammy and Christelle. Okay, Jay said, I bet you'll bring some analysis. Of course, it's gonna be, going to be an awesome conversation. Not just Jay and I, but we would love as well to hear from you. Just like what we did, during the Holy Week, where we did 5 days of going through scriptures and at the same time, learning from each other, hearing out each other's views as well. And we have Susan T. Good morning, good evening, my friend. Thanks so much for being here. All right, so say hi and hello to the fur babies as well, Susan. All right, so let's start. So what I did is I put up a list. Okay, so if you want this list, okay, again, just message me or put it in the chat. Okay, and I will send you the list. Okay, it's a PDF, downloadable PDF, which I don't think you can attach on the description. So I have to send it to you. All right, so this is what it looks like. All right, again, on Instagram, hi, wala lang gawa. Wala lang gawa. Okay, she has a funny Instagram name, and Heart Made by Jay Codelio. Thank you so much for being on Instagram and collaborating and commenting on Instagram. All right, so let's start first with beginners. So most of the people I see in the chat, actually everybody I see in the chat, so you guys are not, and girls are not beginners. All right, so you're not considered beginners. But if you are somebody who is watching right now, lurking or watching on replay, somehow you chance upon my channel and you don't know what are we talking about. So for crafters, and if you do want to, be a little bit serious about crafting, this is what I could recommend. Okay, again, this is not something that is, set on stone. This is something based on my own journey, right? So I've been a crafter for, as Sammy said, older than her. She's been alive, and my daughter is 23. I've been crafting since I was, I could hold a pen, right? So and scissors, a pair of scissors. I really love crafting, and so in my own journey, this is for me what I can say are the basics. Okay, there's just so many. It's not so hard to actually narrow it down, right? Because there's so many awesome things. But okay, so let's go through the list. Okay, so for beginner basics, so if you just want to start out crafting, all right. So I believe most of you would probably have a lot of these things already in the house, right? So whether you are married, has a partner, single, you have kids, you don't have kids, most of this probably you have some around in the house, right? Okay, so first and foremost, paper trimmer or guillotine cutter. All right. So, and then sharp scissors, I would recommend non-stick. All right, so let's just go look at that list first. Okay, so paper trimmers, something that can, cut and cut into smaller pieces paper. Okay, so again, this is more for, there are many kinds of crafts, right? So please remember, okay, hello camera. Okay, it's trying to focus on my hands. So hands keep still. All right. All right. So it's so as I was saying, what was I saying? Paper trimmer. I got lost because of my camera. All right. So okay, so paper trimmers. Let's see. So normally everybody has scissors. Okay. So I have here several kinds of scissors. Okay. What's the difference? Okay, I don't have my, okay, my recommended one is not here. Anyways, all right. So these are all scissors, right? Okay, I might have another one that is a little bit different. Okay, so you have these kinds of scissors as well, right? So there are many kinds of scissors. So you have long ones, you have short ones, you have scissors that have, you would see, the blades are a little thicker. Okay, the edges or the tips are a little bit blunt, not pointy. Okay, compared to this kinds of scissors. Okay, you see the difference? Okay, if I would look like that. Okay, so these are thinner than these ones. Okay, so Mommy Lala, does it make a difference? Okay, if you're gonna be doing a lot of cutting, it will. But if not, then it really doesn't matter. So whatever scissors you have is absolutely fine. I have, I know so many people in the community, like Bitty Penny, all right? She doesn't have, this kinds of scissors it's pointed and very thin blades. She just have, a regular craft scissor, which most of you, or if you have kids or nieces or nephews, probably has in the house, right? So it's absolutely okay. But with this kinds of scissors, the thing is, fussy cutting is actually easier. Okay, so if you want to trace around images, okay, it would be easier because the blades are thinner and the tips are pointed. So following the lines are actually more precise. Okay, because this is a little bit thicker, sometimes you don't absolutely fall if you want a very precise fussy cutting. Otherwise, if you just cut the paper into half, into fours, it is absolutely okay. And then you have a scissor, something like this, right? So scissors that have, wider handles, and you have those that are smaller handles, right? So of course, for comfort, it would be nice to have wider handles so that, your fingers can absolutely fit into it, right? So it's easier to, it's more comfortable to actually use it. Now, if you're gonna be using this, so you see, you can't put in your four fingers, right? So probably just one or two or something like this. Depends on how you hold your scissors, right? So if you're gonna be cutting a long time or a lot of stuff, it might be a little bit, painful eventually to your hands. So again, but there are so many available kinds. So not all scissors somehow are made equal. Again, depending on what you want to use them for. And then there's another kind, all right? So you see the scissors. Normally, when you use scissors, if you want to open them, okay, so you pull the handle apart, right? So that it will open. So it's opposite. What if you pull this, it's gonna open. If you close it, okay, open, close, close, right? But this one is the reverse, okay? So when you open it, okay, so if you want to, what they call this? So you cut, and then all you need to do to open is just to release. Okay, so what happens is that you will only, with this one, you need to open and close. Open and close. You have to manually do the opening and closing. But with this one, all you need to do is to close and then just release, it will open. Okay, so in a way, they say it's more ergonomic. But truth be told, it took me a while to actually get used to this kind of scissors, right? But again, it's a love-hate relationship until you actually, get used to it, and then you will feel, oh, no wonder a lot of people like this. All right, so there, I'm just showing you the different kinds of scissors that are there. Okay, this is not even, okay, an exhaustive, kind, but there's also a lot of brands. Again, doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be branded. Whatever you have, if you're just beginner, absolutely okay. All right, so let me just say hi back to the people who are coming in right now. We have Ayla. Hello. Next week is gonna be her birthday. It's her 14th birthday. Happy birthday advance. And of course, we have Roy. Roy is Mr. Tech Troublemaker himself. Everybody in the chat, I am a beginner. Okay, let's say, except Roy. But Roy is not actually a beginner. He's actually very crafty, truth be told. He was my guest last December for my Vlogmas, and he actually showed us that he can, be a mean gift, wrapper, or he can wrap gifts, right? So if you want to check that out, okay, go to my playlist for my Vlogmas. Susan saying hi to Dawn, Sammy, Jay, Roy, Linda, and Christelle. And of course, we have Yvette. Good morning, Yvette. Yes, this is my dear friend Yvette, who actually goes live and also uploads a lot of videos. So if you have not checked her out, please do so. I have a pair of kitchen scissors I use for everything. I do wash them between uses. Absolutely, Roy. That's great. And washing them in between is absolutely great. Lala, can you send me what I need? All right. Okay, Ayla, yes, I'll get you the list. Oh, yes, I think Ayla was one of those who were actually asking, what do I really need? Right? Yes. And we have Melissa. Hello, good morning, good evening. Melissa, I need on my computer because I need my phone. All right, so I will ask Sammy or me after the live stream to send it to you. Yes. Okay, May 12th. So 2 weeks time, Ayla is gonna be 14. Congratulations, my dear young friend. And yes, she is also a crafter. Okay, beginning crafter. All right, so let's go back to my list. Okay, so I have paper trimmer, guillotine cutter, sharp scissors, okay, non-stick. Okay, sad to say, I cannot find the non-stick. Normally, non-stick scissors have like black. You will see that they're black. I think I brought it to the office. That's why it's not here. Okay, so they're not absolutely like non-stick in the sense that after a while, if you are using double-sided adhesive continuously for, using it, eventually it will get a little bit of a gunk and then you just need to use it. To clean it up as well, even though it's non-stick. But it does, fare better than, the regular blades, which are not non-stick scissors. All right. So how about the paper trimmers? Okay. So if you do have a little bit of a budget, okay. So again, beginner, okay, this one, it's okay. All right. Oh, okay, hold on. I think I forgot to show. Okay, this one. Oh, not that one. What am I doing? Hold on, I'm lost. Okay, paper trimmer or guillotine cutter. Okay. I'll show you. Okay. So this is what we call a guillotine cutter. Okay, so it has an arm. Okay, and then you put the piece of paper. Okay, and then it normally always has measurements. So it depends on the size, okay, and the make of the trimmer. So the thing I like about, this kind is that it has measurements and at the same time, it's easier to cut as long as it's with this one 2 inches. I want to cut it into, I just push this down and then that's it. The thing though with guillotine cutters or trimmers, if you have small kids, okay, and you feel that they have access to your craft room or your crafting area, I do not suggest that you get this or you have this. All right, it's better if you're going to have something like this one. I'll show you in a bit. Okay, I just need to here. Okay, something like this. Okay, although this is kind of big, right? So this is not for beginner anymore, right? But if you do want, okay, something like this, it has a rotary blade. All right, so for them to actually put their hands over there it's not that easy. But then if they put their hands over here, they can still get, what do you call that? Hurt. So again, paper trimmers, cutters, scissors for very, very young kids, please, put them away. All right. So another kind is again this, rotary trimmer. Okay, this is a Fiskars one. Okay, so most of the items that I'm showing you are actually in my carousel. Okay, I've already tagged the products and you can actually check that out and click it, and whatever you decide to buy, I do get a commission from that. Otherwise, it's okay if you just want to check it out, right? No worries. Check, meaning not check out, but to check out what the product is. All right, so that is what the guillotine shimmer is. So another one is, so it comes in various, colors, designs, sizes, but the concept is always the same. So, right, so it has an arm that can go up and down, right? And then you push in the paper over there like so. Okay, so there's the baby and this, okay, so there's the, okay, so you have something like a baby, okay, and then maybe the older brother or sister or sibling, and then you can have the bigger one. Okay, so this one, okay, is a Tim Holtz. It's a tonic. It's again guillotine. Okay, so the thing with this one, it looks small, so it doesn't eat up space. But okay, this one is stored underneath. Pull it out and then just insert this, and now you can trim as as big as a 12 by actually 13 by 12 and a half by 12 and a half. Right? So, and then after you're done, just put it back in at the back. Okay, and then store. Right? So again, those are trimmers. So they come in various colors, sizes. Okay, so whatever you feel you need, okay, is best for you, then you can go ahead. Yes, Ayla, I will definitely, absolutely send you the list. So, anybody who wants the list, I will send it to you. All right. And of course, Susan T saying hi to Yvette and Ayla as well. Good morning, Melissa from Dawn. Yes, everybody saying hi to everybody. And I love that. And Roy, I hope you're feeling better. Roy had his live stream earlier on. And it was such an amazing topic, my friends, because the topic was what happens when you get stuck, right? Even for us crafters, right? And moms, there are times when, sometimes we just, I think my foot was there. You just get stuck. And even as much as you want to, sometimes life happens and you get stuck as a content creator. So if you want to check that out, please do so. I hope Sam would put out the link to Roy's live stream earlier on. Okay, he had on his show his guest. Okay, Equip Institute's very own Florence. All right, hi Shanna. Oh, thank you so much, my friends, for dropping by. Yes, Lala, don't demonstrate how to get hurt, only how not to get hurt. Okay. That's a great suggestion, Roy. All right, next. Okay, let's go back to our list. Okay. Okay, next, bone folder, craft mat or self-healing mat. Okay, and then you have double-sided tape runner, liquid glue, foam tape, ruler, pencil and eraser, black fine liner pen, basic acrylic block for stamping, starter ink pad, a black dye ink, and small clear stamps, sentiments, or icons. Okay? And of course, okay, you need paper, pattern paper pads, and pre-folded card bases or blank tags if you are into card making. All right, so take a screenshot. Okay, so for those who are watching, okay, take a screenshot of this, or if you want the actual PDF file for this, okay, just message me and I will send it to you. All right, so let's go back to demonstrate or show you what these are. Hi Jaden, good evening. All right. Hi, Shanna. Hi, Jaden from Shanna. Paper is a must. Yes. All right. So let's go through that. Okay. Bone folder. What is a bone folder? Okay. So if you are not a crafter, maybe you would not know, or probably would be like, what is it really made of a bone? Right? So bone folders are actually, I think maybe, in the olden days, it was. Okay, I actually haven't gone through the history of it. So this is a bone folder. This is a bone folder. They vary slightly in shape and in size. See, this is thinner, this is thicker, but both of them does the same thing. Okay, and that is that is for you to make crisp folds. Like for example, you have paper, you want to create a card base or a fold that's half this size, right? So you hold on to that. Okay, normally what we would do is we would fold with our fingers like so, right? So we would fold, and that is absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. All right, but okay, so there you go. That's what it looks like. So imagine folding one, that's fine. But imagine folding 100. 100 of these or 20 of these. That's gonna be, a little bit painful, okay, to your fingers, right? So any blunt object actually will do. Okay, right? Let's say, okay, here. Okay, so the side of your pen, okay, the edge of your pen, normally me on the side, you can actually also use that in lieu of your fingers, as long as it's, it's clean, right? So it won't, it won't stain your folds. Okay, and so basically what it does is, as I said, make your folds crisper. Okay, so instead of using your fingers, all you need to do is, do this hard fold and then get any side. Okay, but normally the one there, it has like the blunt side, which is that's the tip. Okay, and the rounded one, that's the other end. Excuse me. So just glide through the other side, the fold, and then just, do like that, up and down. Okay, sometimes actually just one pass is enough. Okay, but if you have a thicker, paper, sometimes it needs more. And sometimes you need to actually fold it more than, maybe the other way around. Okay, like when you're doing origami, right? So you have to fold it this way, then you have to fold it another way. So again, these are what we call bone folders. So when you hear a crafter say bone folder, that is it. Okay, so the reason why this is a recommended one is because as paper crafters, folding is something that we do a lot. And as I mentioned, if you're just going to make one, that's fine. But if you're going to make a lot, okay, that can be painful to your fingers. All right. So having a bone folder is actually pretty nice. Okay. There are actually varying, what do you call this? Price points. This is quite expensive because it's actually made of silicone. Right, so it's very sturdy. I've had this for over a decade, but if you can see, it looks just very pristine still, right? But again, you don't need one. You don't need this if you're an actual beginner. So it's something like this. Again, as I said, any blunt object, even your scissors. Sometimes if I can find my what do you call this, bone folder. Okay, I will just grab my scissors because it's there. Okay, and then like what we did before. Okay, make sure that the other edge is flushed. Okay, and then you just grab your scissor like this and use the handles actually to burnish your card. Right? So the scissors is a very powerful tool. Right? You can even use it as a burnishing or a bone folder. Okay, what else? A craft mat. Okay, so what you see here right now, this one is actually a craft mat, but this is glass. All right, so this is also a craft mat. Right, so this is called a self-healing mat. So if you are going to be using cutters, so like this, so let me just go grab my, where is it? Hold on. Oh, where are my cutters, my friends? Where did I put them? Okay, my pen blades. So my cutters actually look like pen blades. And they... Where? Okay, Sammy, did you get it from here, sweetheart? Okay, so apparently I cannot find it. Okay, so it's, a cutter. Okay, so something... Okay, let's pretend that this is actually not... It's a box opener or an envelope opener. So all you need to do is to glide it like so on the self-healing mat. All right. So it's called self-healing because even if you cut through the mat, it will not destroy it because this is actually several layers of rubber, and then in between, sometimes or often, you have what do you call this, metal inside to make it sturdy. For the life of me, I cannot understand where all my pen blades went. Okay, so anyways, moving forward, I cannot find it. Okay, so this actually also doubles up as my mouse mat. Right? So again, craft mats are there to protect the surface or your furniture, especially if you have like white furniture. Like my desk is a white desk, so having a mat like this helps out. I love that it's glass because it's easy to clean. Right? So I'll just spritz water or alcohol and then just, wipe it with, let's say, a kitchen tissue or a paper towel, and then it's clean. Right? So, and then it also has this like, measurements or lines Okay, so it's easy to actually know if it's straight or not, right? So you can align the one you're gonna cut. All right, so it helps out as well, right? So this one helps out as well. All right, so the next is double-sided tape or tape runner. Okay, so a double-sided tape, you have your, so you do have your regular sticky tape, right? So the ones where you actually, get and then use to stick things together. Okay, so for like something like this, okay, let's say I want to close it, okay, like so. Okay, so this is a one-sided, okay, tape, sellotape or cellophane tape. See, only this side is sticky, okay, or has adhesive. Okay, so the other side does not have. But most of the time for crafting, we do need, okay, hold on. We do need to use double-sided adhesives, okay? And double-sided adhesives, for those who are, these are actually very affordable. Okay, this is actually also in my carousel. Okay, I tagged these products as well. And it comes in various thickness, right? So you have very, very thin ones. This is a 1/8 of an inch. This is a 1/4 of an inch. And then you have, I don't have the half and the 1 inch because I normally don't use those very, very thick ones. I prefer this kinds. And then these are the flat double-sided tape. Okay, so this is basically how it's done. Let's say you have something like this, right? So you want to close it. Okay, so it's just like a regular tape. Okay, so it's sticky on one side. And then, okay, you use it. And most of the double-sided adhesive, you don't even need the pair of scissors to, cut it. Okay, all you need to do is just, okay, because it's really meant to, most of the time meant to do like that. So you can easily rip it. But if you want very clean cuts, then you can always use your scissors. And then it does have this protective paper cover on top. So all you need to do is just, remove the edge and then it will easily peel off. And this one, the one that is left, okay, now is actually sticky as well. And so if you want to adhere that, okay, so now it's close. Sometimes we don't want, like for example, you're wrapping gifts, right? So sometimes you want it to be really neat. So you don't want this, kinds of tape. So you want that the tape is hidden. So there, double-sided tape is what you can use. Now, sometimes it's quite hard to remove, the protective cover. So another option for you would be your tape runner. Okay, so this is a tape runner. This is just, there's so many brands out there. If you see some, crafters in their videos, you've seen actually them with like a very big, very big, and then they glide it over like that. Okay, like the what's it called that? The tag? ATG. There you go, the ATG adhesive. So this one, very similar to what we did earlier on, okay, is that, okay, so you just glide and then it will roll. Okay, and then I don't know if you can see it, but there are, okay, if you can see that there are, dots of adhesive over there, and then you can just simply push. Okay, come on. All right, and then it will close. Okay, again, you have different kinds. You have temporary adhesive, like this one is the yellow, it's temporary, and then you have permanent, right? So option is up to you. Again, you need an adhesive. Okay, all right. And then of course you also, if you don't like, or this is a little bit more expensive, another option would be to have, this kinds of glue. Okay, basically, if you are not really into, archival paper crafting, those glue, the white ones or the clear ones that you find in, the school and office supplies or online, they're actually perfect. Okay, but if you want something that might be archival, meaning something that will not make your project turn yellowish in the future, then you have options like this. My favorite is the Barely Art. Not my fingers. This the Barely Art. It's a precision craft glue. So it comes in many, many sizes. Okay, so during my live streams or crafty streams, you would see me use this. Another one I like is the Art Glitter Glue. Okay, if you just want to check out the ones that I actually use. But again, as a beginner, you don't need this brand. Whatever glue, liquid glue that you can find, okay, is absolutely okay. All right. So another thing you can use to glue things together, stapler. Okay, I should add this in the list. Okay, so something like this. Everybody has a stapler in their house, I believe, right? So there you go. And the list as well is foam tape. All right. So for card makers, sometimes we want our cards to have dimension and depth, and to do so, okay, we use something like this. These are foam tapes. So the ones I'm showing you here are actually strips. Okay, so they come in different shapes, okay, and sizes. Some are thicker, some are thinner, some are circles, some are squares. Okay, this one is strip. Okay, but if you, as you can see, instead of being flat, okay, it does have a bit of a dimension. All right, so in the cards or projects that you have, this would actually really, showcase your focal point. Okay, and then you have your pencil and eraser, of course. Pencil and eraser. Okay, so I like using these kinds of pencils, the mechanical pencils, because the tip is very thin. Okay, but if you have the usual eraser, the one that you need to, what do you call that, sharpen, that is absolutely fine as well. Of course, okay, having an eraser always is, okay, something that is preferred. Okay, since if you want to erase the because normally we use the lead of the pencil to create markings, right? So if you want, let's say, oh, okay, so the instruction says I have to, cut from here. Okay, oh, this is another ruler that I like, right? So on top of the metal ruler, a T-square ruler, because it's so easy, okay, to, sometimes it moves, right? So when you're measuring, right? So sometimes maybe this side is okay, and then you didn't realize that you were doing it this way. So when you made your line, it's actually skewed, okay, or not straight. But having a T ruler, okay, so that would actually, would stop the ruler from moving. So it's always straight, whether, okay, horizontal or vertical. So, right, so you always create, okay, straight lines. Okay, even your vertical lines. Okay. Oops. Okay, you made something like that. Okay, no worries, because you can always erase. Okay. So it's like, oh, so Lala, it's just basically being back to, kindergarten or elementary school. These are the things that we actually need for art classes, right? Exactly. That's why I said for the basic tools, you basically probably must have them in the house already. But if you want to check out the ones that I am actually using during my live streams, I've put it, or I've tagged those products down below in the description. All right, okay. Black fine liner pen. Okay, so let me see. I have them over here. Yes. So something like this, okay? So I want that's water and fade proof, okay? This is a little bit more expensive than your usual ballpoint pen, but it's very, very useful, especially if you want to make markings and eventually, color them in, okay? Okay, what else? Okay, so let me see. Okay, basic acrylic block. Okay, before we go into the stamping. Okay, so let me just go back to the chat. Okay. Okay, so we have a question from Ayla. What are the cards that the instruction to do it called? Hold on. I'm still determining, okay, what Ayla wants to ask. What are the cards with the indentation to do called? Maybe the one that, okay, bone folder? You mean this one, Ayla? Okay. Sorry, Ayla, I can't fully understand. Okay, so if you can put it, oh, you use your ruler. Okay, there you go. Hello, BFGM, Mrs. Blossom. Hi, Blossom. You changed your name? Craft loving BFGM. Okay, Mrs. Blossom. Okay, this is her name. Please do check her out. Hi, Blossom. Yes, she is Blossom, my friends. Okay, there you go. Hi, everybody saying hi to Blossom. My English. Oh no, it's okay, Ayla, because you know Ayla speaks French. Okay, maybe the KCC challenge. The one I use for KCC challenge, Dawn? Card white construction. Okay, maybe this one. Okay, let me see. This one, the card bases, Ayla. Card bases. So when I create cards, another thing that if you want to be card makers and you want to, do cards really fast, so you can get, your usual. The one I use, if you can check the one in the description in the carousel, it's actually very, very smooth. Okay, so oftentimes we want smooth paper. Okay, especially if you want to do stamping, because it will create crisper images than paper that has, texture. Because, texture, sometimes the paper, there's, gap in between. And when you stamp stuff, it's not perfect, right? The image. So if you want to have perfect images, then go for, smoother, crisper, card bases. And as we can see, this is a little bit thick. Normally for my card base, I do about 270 to 300 GSM. Okay, but 250 is okay. It's just I like them thicker because sometimes I do a lot of techniques with it, so I like it thick. All right, so what I do is I already prepare. So this is an A2 card. Okay, so if you're in the US, okay, and then in the Philippines, so normally our regular cards are A2 size cards. So that means it's actually okay. It is 5.5, okay, and 4.25 when already folded. All right, so I have, okay, I'll show you that I do already have pre-folded ones already. Okay, so some of my cards are actually folded this way. All right, so this one, if you want the dimension, is actually, okay, 8.5. Okay, 8.5 by 5.5. All right, so it's 8.5 by 5.5. All right, so and then you will fold it into half and then burnish, and then you have your side folding card base. Another kind of card that I have in my stash that I already prepare are the top folding cards. Okay, so this one, the end is whether you're side folding, top folding, in the end you will always have an A2 size card. Okay, I think this is not yet cut to, okay, this one. All right, so you will always have the same. Okay, but one is top folding and then one is side folding. Okay, so let's get a top folding one. Okay, do I have here? Okay, these are all side folding. Okay, let me see if I have one. Okay, there. We have one top folding over there. Oh, no, it's also side folding. Okay, so anyway, we have a top folding card over here. So this one is, okay, so it's 11. Okay, so it is 11 by 4. This is supposed to be 4 1/4. Okay, so I still need to cut this side. All right, so that in case you want to pre-cut and pre-make your own card bases. Again, that's for an A2 size card. So if you don't want, you want to create a 5x7, then you just have to adjust. So having those prepared, okay, also would make your card making process really, really fast. Okay, and then small clear, hold on. Basic acrylic blocks. Okay, so let's put that back in. So let's go to the list again. So, oops. Okay, lock that in. Forgot to lock. All right, so you would see that we showed you paper trimmer, guillotine cutter, sharp scissors. Of course, non-stick are recommended. You have bone folder, craft mat or self-healing mat, double-sided tape runner, liquid glue, foam, tape or dots, ruler, metal or clear, pencil and eraser, black fine liner pen, basic acrylic block for stamping, starter ink pad, small clear stamps, pattern. Okay, let's go for the 3. Basic acrylic block, starter ink pad, and small clear stamps. All right. Again, this is basic. All right. So we will. Okay. So we will get one. All right. Okay. So if you for card making, we do like. For Roy, can you help me out with my camera? It's always doing that. Anyway, so for what do you call this? For stamping, all right, so you do need an ink. Okay, so there are so many kinds of inks in the market. So if you are just starting out, okay, so I highly suggest that you start out with a small one as well. Okay, and again, get a black one. Okay, so for this one, or a dye ink or a hybrid ink would be nice. Okay, so these are 2 that I love so much. So you have VersaFine, but this is a pigment ink, and so it what do you call this? It dries a little bit longer, and this is a hybrid ink, which actually is like a dye ink, so it dries faster. Okay, so you need at least black. Okay, so if you're a beginner, you don't need to go crazy and buy all the collections, the complete collection. Okay, just buy the black, you're good to go. Okay, and then stamping. Okay, so if you do want to stamp, okay, so most of the stamps they come as polymer stamps, right? So in the olden days, all right, so you have red rubber stamps, right? And those red rubber stamps normally come with wood blocks on them, right? So it's easy to stamp. Okay, but those are quite expensive to create, right? So they came up with a cheaper version, and these are actually the polymer, okay, stamps. Okay, so some make like the silicone based stamps, but based on experience, those are not nice. They're very oily, and then they stretch out, and then it's the impression's not really nice. So like this one, okay, so let's try and get one. So if you could see, so they're actually okay, so these are protective covers. So after using them, you can put them back. So you see, it's a little bit sticky. Okay, it does have a little bit of a it has a tacky feeling to it, right? And these are what we call, okay, stamping blocks. The thing with stamping blocks, okay, is that you can see through it, right? It's transparent. It's an acrylic black, actually. So this is just a fancy one. There's just really, rectangular ones, square ones. Those are actually fine. It's just I like this fancy ones. Okay, and they also normally have, lines on them, so you would know if they're straight or if you want to put them in the middle, like so. All right. So basically, this is what the stamping block is for. It will hold your clear stamps, okay, or your polymer stamps. So you see, sometimes it won't stick anymore because probably your stamping block is dirty, okay, or the back of your stamp is as dirty as well. So all you need to do is to run it through just regular tap water, okay, a little bit of soap, or if you want, just what do you call this, baby wipes, okay, and you're good to go, right? And then you can actually now get your ink. Okay, so again, just go. This is already dry. Just get, okay, a regular black ink, just one, and you don't even need to buy the big one. Just grab a small one like this. All right, and then this is how you will stamp it. So hold the block, okay, like so, and then let's say, where do you want to actually put it? All right, so and then just, okay, hold, okay, push towards the paper. Okay, now it's nicer if your surface, if you're gonna be stamping, if your surface is a little bit what do you call this, hard, but not really hard as like this one, because sometimes it's nicer if you have, oh, okay, so there you see there's a boo-boo over there. Okay, so I think okay, so that happens in your, okay, look at that, there is, what happened to this stamp? Oh, there is, okay, did you see that? That mark, this mark was actually made because of this. It's dirt. So probably when I used this the last time, so the last time that I used it, maybe I didn't clean it properly. And so that's what happens. All right, so let's do it again. So you see, to clean it, you just get a baby wipe. Okay, and then, okay, I will just run it through another, okay, tissue or a cloth, okay, so that it's not wasteful. A cloth that you can wash off eventually when it gets dirty. And then if you have, like, if you stamped on the, okay, edge of the, let me see, let's use this self-healing craft mat, okay, again, because this is a little bit of rubber and it nicer. Normally it has a nicer impression. So again, all you need is a stamping stamping block, okay, a stamp, okay, and your paper, okay, and there you go. Okay, so I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139 verse 142. All right, so there you go. Okay, so it is, okay, so again, this is beginner. Okay, so beginner, that's all you need. So you want to have some stamps. There's a lot of options nowadays. You can even buy, used ones if you want, right? And then, of course, your ink. And then, of course, let's go back to our list. Okay, you have pattern paper. It can be 6 by 6 or 12 by 12. And then pre-folded card bases or blank tags. I already showed that to you a while ago. But before we move on to that, okay, let us, okay, just go back to the chat. You're very welcome. I hope I was able to actually answer it. Okay, guys, I have a problem. I cannot print it, so I cannot go on the link. I cannot go on the link. I can't print it. So I cannot go on to the link. Yes. Okay. If Sammy, all right. So I will, because you are in Switzerland. So I feel that maybe the YouTube shopping for Southeast Asia. I'm not sure if it allowed to send to you, if ever. So I will just give you the actual name, okay, of the item, so you can just buy from there. Maybe there's an Amazon version or a craft store near you, right there. Yes, Don. Thank you. Oh, I think it's the last problem for today. You're very welcome, Ayla. You know, I'm sure. Remember my friend Marcus? Okay, I think it was 2 Christmases ago, 2 Decembers ago, when I had him for Vlogmas, and I made him create a card with me during the show. So I gave him a list, okay, of things that he needed to buy. And he actually did a short, a video, not really very short, several minutes long of a video, where he went to different stores. I think he went to two stores in Switzerland. So I'm sure there are craft stores where you can actually get the things that we are showing today. I got good news at the doctor yesterday, said Blossom. Okay, the doctor decided to take me off the cholesterol medicine. Yay! Good job, whatever it is that you are doing. And praise the Lord for that, Blossom. Woohoo! Right? So if we can just, do things by, probably veering away from whatever is, high in cholesterol. Okay, so that is awesome. Okay, we celebrate with you, my dear friend, Blossom. All right, so, okay, pattern paper. What are pattern papers? Okay, so if you're an absolute newbie, okay, and you are in a place where you cannot find these kinds of paper, okay, you can always use, your gift wrappers, right? So most of the time you get gifts during the year, and some of them are wrapped in papers that are quite, fancy or really nice. You can use those. They have patterns, right? But if you do have access to pattern papers, this is what they actually look like. Hold on. Okay. I'm now surrounded by so much stuff. Okay, craft supplies. All right. So these are pattern papers. Okay, so what I'm showing you are actually pattern papers from some of our dear sponsors. Okay. Hold on, maybe I'm not supposed to show the others because they might not still be out. Okay, but I know this one is. Okay, so this is like this one. This is from Crafty Stamp Co. They used to be Copictopia. Now it's Crafty Stamp Co. So you'll see the papers. Okay, so they're very nice. They have very nice patterns. Right? So, and most of the time, if it's a collection, if you will see, they coordinate in terms of sometimes the color or the theme, right? So, since this is actually called shark bait, so it's supposed to be, shark theme. So you would see the patterns somehow, whether I use this together with this, or I use this with this, or I use this with this, they will coordinate. So if you are absolutely a beginner, I would suggest that if you can find one, to get, pattern papers that are more or less in a collection or a set, because it would make, decorating and putting things together easier, right? Then as you become a little bit more comfortable with working with different patterns and with different color palettes, okay, then you can become bold and use different papers from wherever. And that is absolutely a bliss as well. Another thing that, paper crafters and, crafters love to do. Okay, so pattern papers can come in like 6x6 like this, or, okay, if you are into, scrapbooking, okay, so scrapbook paper, okay, so like this one, this is from Illustrated Faith. Okay, so it's normally 12 by 12. I actually don't know why it's 12 by 12, but since I started scrapbooking, it's always been 12 by 12, 8.5 by 11, 6 by 6, 8 by 8. So those are the usual sizes. But the thing about 12 by 12 that I like is that if you are a card maker, then you can actually use your 12 by 12 papers as well. But sometimes, like the images sometimes can be very, very, very big if it's a 12 by 12 because it's meant to be maybe for scrapbooking on a 12 by 12 platform, right? But sometimes there are those that are like this one, not really very big patterns, so it can be for a 6 by 6 or a 12 by 12. So again, pattern papers are just basically papers that have patterns on them. So some can be double-sided or some can be just one side like this. So only one side is has pattern, and then you have some that have, patterns on both sides like this one. And normally I struggle with this kinds of paper because they're both sometimes really nice. And so if you see, they actually coordinate with each other, right? So you don't even need to get another set of paper because the back can actually coordinate with the front. But then look at how gorgeous one of the side is. So, all right. So again, but over the years, I've learned to let go and actually use this double-sided, pattern papers as well. So again, those are the basic things that you need if you want to start, paper crafting. Okay? The tools are there for you to actually create faster and make nicer ones in the sense that, the crisper edges. Again, if you're a beginner, because eventually you would probably want to veer away from very clean lines, right? So again, but if a starter, that is a great place to start. Yes! Yay, Blossom from Susan T. Sammy, can you put a link to the KCC card challenge? Oh, okay. Yes, Sam, can you kindly, baby? Okay, so you can look at my other, videos. Okay, and there are links, on how to actually join Kendra's Card Challenge. Yay, congratulations, Blossom from Ayla. Indeed, right? So, the best thing is for us, stay healthy, right? So, I have some of those sizzlet pads of paper on the 1900. Actually, you saw it done, right? Okay, so, let me see. Look, guys. From the 19... Look, Dawn. It's still very much a complete set. Right? So, Sizzix. Right? So, it started out as, I don't know who bought who. Right? So, I remember I do still have products from Provocraft. And then, I think it became Ellison. And then eventually now Sizzix. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think that's how the progression was, right? So I still have products that says Provocraft. And of course, these are, already advanced, okay? So, I mean the glittered ones. All right. So, I love the cards you have made for the KCC. Oh, thank you so much, Crystal. Okay, so you guys, Kendra's Card Challenge. That's what KCC means. So for those who are here and probably do not know what we are talking about, it's Kendra's Card Challenge. So you can create, at this time, there are 18. You can create 18 awesome cards from just 6 sheets of 6 by 6 pattern paper. Kendra actually gives you a sketch and how-to PDF absolutely free, okay, to join this. And it's a quarterly card making challenge. So we are on Kendra's Card Challenge 18. And it started last April 1st and will go on to up to June 30th. So every month you can join Okay, just take a photo of the complete set. Okay, again, this case, you see there's 18. If you want to see how I do that or how it's done, I actually did a how-to, okay, videos. There are actually two live streams, one after the other, where I created my 18 for this challenge, 18. A set of not 18 set 18 cards for the set of KCC 18. How did I do it? What did I do? Okay, and some tips and advice as well on how to do it is there in that video. I think that was 2 episodes ago or last episode. So the last 2 episodes, if you want to check that out. Right? So I don't know where my Sammy daughter is. Okay? Maybe she is eating. Okay, yes, those are them. I have the cards you have made for the KCC. You are very encouraging. Thank you, Crystal. All right. Now that you have, slid down into the rabbit hole of paper crafting, welcome, my friend. We all embrace you with open arms. Kidding aside, right? So now, you know how to use your, stamping blocks. You have a black ink. You have card bases. You know how to cut the, papers into different shapes and sizes. And then you went onto YouTube. Okay, you probably saw Dawn. Okay, or you probably saw Crystal. Okay, or Susan. Okay, when we do things with, every Saturday for Crafty Fun Friends with LV Handcrafted, right? So you would, I want to do that. How did they do that, right? So sometimes there are certain techniques, okay, in the paper crafting that you might need a little bit more supplies. So again, if it's just, the very basic, you don't feel you're going to be, full-pledged, so to speak, paper crafter, then having something like this, every time you have a need for it, somebody's birthday, like Aya's birthday is coming up, right? So, and then you need to come up with a, tag or card very fast, then you're good to go, right? So you're good to go. Okay, by the way, speaking of tags, I forgot to show you that I also do have prepared tag bases already. All right. So this is a little bit more advanced. This is the very basic one. Okay. So I just prepared the tag bases so that if I need a tag for a gift or, for a project, I already have one. And normally I cut this in white or in black or in craft. So those 3 colors I have in stash so that it's easier. Now, if you have, punchers and dies, you can even make fancy borders like this for your tags, right? So a little bit more advanced, okay? But, okay, this is what you can actually do eventually, okay? So let's stick to this is the basics. All right. Now, as I said, welcome to the rabbit hole. So what do you need more now? All right. So moving on, hello Cat Max first on Instagram. Thanks for dropping by. All right, so here you have level 2 crafters in progress. All right, so now you do need probably a die cutting machine. It can be manual or electric. Okay, so Sammy, if you are there. Okay, and then you need basic dies. So you have circles, tags, banners, nesting shapes. Let's start with the 3. Okay. All right. So die cutting machine. Okay. So before when I was starting, I said, what's a die cutting machine? What is a die? And then the spelling is D-I-E, right? But a die basically, my dear friends, is a piece of metal that actually cuts things into, paper most of the time, but it can also cut through different materials, different shapes, and sometimes, often, you can also have letters or words. Okay, and so this is I have very dies that I use often. Okay, and these are my shape dies. So you can see I still have washi tape over there because I use them all the time. Okay, and I have this containers because they're actually stackable. Okay, so something I actually haven't found a link for this in the local shop that's available here on YouTube, but I will try to continue find it. Okay, but if you can find something like this wherever you are, it's normally there's one from Muji, but that's expensive. You might try Amazon. Okay, scrapbook.com I know has, right? So it's nice, it's easy to store. It just goes onto the side of my craft table, and if I need it, it's so easy. So to use it, you just normally need a piece of paper. Okay, so your strips, like for example this one, right? Okay, so I will just use that, and of course washi tape. Okay, so for holding it together, okay, it's nice to actually use washi tape because unlike your usual tape, this is more of tacky, right? So it won't rip your paper. It just will simply hold it in place like so. Okay, so then run it through your die cutting machine, and then you will see the shape. Hold on, my friends, I just need to drink. Okay, be right back. Hold on, I stepped on my machine. I stepped on my paper trimmer. Sorry about that, my friends. I stepped on my paper trimmer. Okay. All right. So again, die cutting machines can be they come in various shapes and sizes as well, and in different so you have manual ones. Remember what do you call that? My thumbnail for this live stream, right? So you saw me like this. You saw me holding this like this. Like I am an endorser of the product, right? But basically, this is one of my favorite. Okay, small or handy die cutting machine. There are many brands. There are many kinds. Okay, but basically, what it does is simply, and then there's electronic. Okay, so for somebody like me who have arthritic hands, so die cutting, repetitive movements would make my hands really very painful. So normally I don't do that. So normally it does come in different. So you see, I have so many die cutting machine in different shapes and sizes and brands. So the cutting mats can differ. Okay, some are thin, some are thicker. Okay, some have different thicknesses. One thicker, one thinner. Okay, and then some have magnetic mats with them. Okay, some have opaque, not transparent. So it really basically differs. But one thing, okay, that's common for all of them is that with the die, you basically need to sandwich. Okay, sandwich in between. Okay, two plates. Okay, whether it be a hard plastic like this or an acrylic one like this. Okay, the thing is, you would put the the paper. Let me see my paper. Okay, like this paper. Okay, and then so you would put the die on top. Okay, like so. Okay, so normally I don't do it like straight like that because it's gonna make the machine have a harder time cutting it. So I tilt it a little bit so that it will pass through the die cutting machine easier. Okay, and then okay, so it says here base plate, and then you have cutting plate. All right, so I will just do like that. Again, read your machine's instruction of in terms of how the plates are to be used, and then just pass it through your die cutting machine. Okay, so they have varying ways of how this will look. Okay, and different brands as well. Okay, so this is a Spellbinders Sapphire, I think. I've had this forever. Look how so much love this one is. All right, so there you already have your cut. Okay, this is a cross stitch border die. All right, so that is why from just the basic scissors. Now, if you have a die cutting machine, even a small one like this, which is so handy. Okay, look how small it is. Right? That's how small it is. It's smaller than, my hands when it's stretched like that. Okay? So it's very, what do you call this? Handy. It's not even very heavy. Okay? It has like a suction, rubber suction, so that if you have a mat like this one, it's best if you have a non-porous surface. Like this is glass, so it's okay. So when you open it like so, it will, okay. So first you do like that, and then this one. So this part, when you turn it like that, it will, suction will. There you go. All right. So it's already not gonna move. Okay. So it's something like that. All right. Okay, and then you just release to remove the suction. Okay, and sometimes it comes in something like this bigger one. So again, it comes in different shapes and sizes, and this is manual because you really need to use your own force to actually run the die through the machine. Okay, for somebody like me who is who's been crafting for many decades, we do get what we call the crafter's hands, and that means basically that after you've gone through the same what do you call this movement, and then you'll have pain it starts with pain in your fingers, and then it moves up to your shoulder, and it's really very painful. That's when I decided to actually transition to electric die cutting machines, like what the Cricut, the Cameo, and then you also have Brothers Cut and Cut. Okay, so I have linked or tagged what I am using most of the time, and that's the Cricut Maker here in the description or in my product carousel. And in the future, it's still, I don't still have a Brothers Cut and Cut. That's why I love fussy cutting. But at least for most of my die cutting, right? So I actually use Gemini and then the Cricut. Okay. So there you go. Let me just go to the chat. Okay. So again, this is basically what it makes. Hi, Tara. Good morning. I know Tara is going to go live later if you want to. Oh, no, not Tara. It's actually Ash. No. See, I'm getting confused, okay? Who's going live at midnight, okay, for me. But anyway, just check out Tara. I love her channel. If you want inspiration, hopefully we can have her in one of our faith journaling events in the future, Tara. We would love to have you here. Okay, Dawn, that makes you sound ancient in the 1900s. All right. Okay, there you go. Right? So, just like me, Dawn and I, we've collected a lot of things from the past, and we fondly call it from the 1900s. It's not really 1900s, but, we just want to exaggerate because it's actually for crafters that's long. That's maybe late 1990s, okay, to early 2000s, something like that. Yes, goodbye, Ayla, and hope to see you soon again, my dear friend. And if you are here on your birthday, we would love to celebrate it with you. Good morning, Linda. Hi, hi, hi. All right, there you go. All right, so what's next on the list? Okay, so again, for crafters in progress, you are no longer beginners. All right, so die cutting machine. Yes, you can make so many awesome stuff when you have a die cutting machine. Again, it doesn't have to be electronic. When it's electronic, it's a little bit more expensive, of course. Okay, but then of course, sometimes you can buy, secondhand ones or slightly used one from crafty friends. That would absolutely be fine. Okay, but then the manual ones are absolutely cheap or cheaper, and there's a lot of options for you out there in the market. Since you now have a die cutting machine, you can have basic dies, okay, like what I showed you. If you are a beginner or in the process of leveling up, I highly suggest you get this kinds of dies. You start with shape dies or nesting shapes, meaning these are shapes, okay, that go from small to big because you can actually layer them as well. So these are very useful for whatever project you want to make. So you have circles, squares, rectangles, ovals. Nesting ones is absolutely better, and then you have tags and banners. All right, the next one is a heat tool embossing powder, anti-static powder, Versamark or embossing ink pad, and stamping platform or positioner. Okay, so let's do those together because somehow they are related. Okay, so when you were starting, the only thing that I recommended that you have is just one black ink and a stamping block. That's it. Now that you have gotten into the groove, you want to create more. Maybe you've seen again some of the cards that our dear friends have been making. It's, I want to do that, right? So now you have a die cutting machine. So you have this, fancy shapes already. And then you have this, fancy, or not even fancy, but even basic, letters where you can create, titles already. All right, so the next thing that you would want to do is try out another technique called heat embossing, right? So with heat embossing, you do need several things, okay? So it was mentioned that you would need, of course, your inks, okay? So heat embossing inks, okay, are very sticky. They dry quite longer, okay, than your usual dye inks, okay? So normally, like your dye inks or hybrid inks, when you stamp them, after a few seconds or minutes, they're dry to the touch already, okay? The pigment inks, they dry long, okay? And so make sure that you give time for it to dry, or sometimes you actually even need to heat set it. Okay. Now, if you're going to emboss, you can use those pigment inks, colored ones, or this is our, preferred. What do you call this? For me, anyways. I know there are several brands now, but before it was just this one. So it's a watermark stamp pad. Okay. So what you do is like what you did with the previous stamp. Okay. The thing is. Okay, is this the one that's bad? Okay, I think I left the good one in the office. So, so on top of the ink, okay, so you need something like this. This is not a hair dryer, okay? So when I was starting, I had a mistake of thinking that I could always use a hair dryer to do this technique. Lo and behold, when I tried to dry it, all the powder flew. Okay, because hair dryer is more, there's a lot of air, okay, as well as heat, okay. But with heat embossing, it's more of heat rather than air. There's still a little bit of air, but mostly heat. All right, so another thing that you would need for this technique, okay, so is what we call okay, your anti-static powder. It seems very scientific. Anti-static. Okay, basically, all right, because remember, you're going to be using embossing powders. Okay, so embossing powders come in different colors and add-ons, because sometimes there are glitters and so many other things. But since you are not yet super advanced, you're just leveling up. So I highly suggest you have this colors. You have actually the black. I can't find the black one. So you should have a black. So in this case, it's great because I can't find the black. So you have white, okay, gold, oh, and clear. Okay, where's the clear? It was here a while ago. And the clear. Where's the clear? Okay. So the clear sometimes look like it's white as well, but it dries. Hold on. I think it's this one. Oh, but this is also white. Okay, anyway, let's pretend it's clear. It will say clear if it's clear, all right? So if you can see, let's try and open them up. Okay. So it's really powder. It's like very, very small, okay? But it's not as fine as your baby powder. Okay, the embossing one. They're like very, very fine granules. Okay. And they do have pigments. Okay, so this one is even gilded. This is from Brutus Monroe. It's one of my favorite. Okay, and I'm so sad. It's almost, you see, for you to be able to use up, a container of this means you have been using it for a long time and you have created a lot of projects. So this one is actually gold. It does look like copper, right? But it dyes gold and it dries super crisp. I like this Brutus, Monroe embossing powder. And this is white. Okay, so this one is, I forget the brand. It's a Japanese brand. Okay, and then this one is from Ranger. It's white. Okay, and this one again is from Ranger. Super fine. Okay, so they're embossing powders that are normally, I use this for very intricate designs or for sentiments, because sometimes when your embossing powders are kind of chunky, kind of thick, very thick, and then your sentiment is very fine or very small, and then you can no longer read it. So for those kinds, I suggest that you go for something that says, I just hope it would focus. Come on. There you go. Super fine detail. Whatever brand it is, you can always find if they say fine detail. All right. So let me just focus again. All right. So let me see if, okay, let's find something to hit emboss with that is super fast. Okay. So again, since we're not, we didn't mention yet that thing. So we'll just use again our stamping block. Okay, and let's do father. I think I haven't used this one. Okay, so let's do father. This father. Okay. All right. So there you go. Okay, since this is a new stamp, so what you can do is to what do you call this? To condition it. Okay. So remember, these are polymer stamps and these are plastic. So when they are new, they still have that plastic cover. You know how it is when you have plastic and then you put an ink on top. It's like the ink is floating, right? So you don't get really crisp images. So there's several things you can do, and that when you're doing that, when you want to condition your stamp. Okay, so you do want to, sometimes just rubbing your fingers, on top of it somehow removes that plastic covering, but sometimes it doesn't. So another thing that you can do is to put an actual Versamark ink on top. Okay, and then stamp it through another paper first. Okay, and then you can check, all right, if it's okay already, and I feel that it's okay. So now what we're gonna do again, this is heat embossing. So it's like your basic stamping, right? So you put an ink, Okay, but in this case, you will see that the ink that we're using, okay, is again, you can use pigment inks, but since we're not into that very advanced stage yet, so um, this is a colorless one, all right? So you would just stamp, okay, and I mean put the ink, okay, on top. So if you have a small ink pad, rather than, you know, the stamp, you do like this. It can be done. See, you can do it like this, okay, but normally it's easier, since it's just a small one, to do this. All right. And okay, so normally you want to make sure that none of the ink actually, you know, what is on the platform, or not platform, but on the stamping block. So you want to clean the edges as well. Okay, anyway, this is on a Versamark ink, so it will not dry super fast. Okay, and then you have your paper. Okay, so this is the anti-static. So what it does, remember, you will be using powders. And when you use powders, okay, so if you have static, they might actually attach themselves to it. So what this does, okay, this is an anti-static powder. So inside is actually powder. Okay, now, truth be said, you can actually use your baby powder. Use the one that doesn't have smell. You know, does no scent. Okay, so you can use that. Okay, you don't need like a fancy, baby, you know, anti-static powder. That is enough. If you know you don't want to buy this kind. Okay, so basically that's it. Before you actually, so what that does is to remove the static from the paper. So what happens is, even if, you know, embossing powder gets into the different parts of the paper, it won't stick, because it will only stick to the one that has the ink. All right, so in this case, where is my stamp? Okay, hold on. Okay, so I do normally like something of a, you know, thick rubber underneath. It's nicer when you stamp with that rather than just on a solid, very hard one like that. Okay, so let's stamp further. Okay, again, this, you don't have a stamping platform yet. Just, you know, this is okay, just a stamping block. All right, so you have the father over there. I can't see it properly, yes, but I think it's there. But I placed it so long. Let's see if it still will stick. Okay, and then let's do the gold. Okay, so what you do next is to, you know, put the, okay, don't worry. Wow, that's too much. It's okay. I like doing that. Okay, but if you can see, right, it seems as if the powder has actually stuck to the paper. That, don't worry. Okay, I just poured a lot because I want to make sure that, you know, everything is gonna be covered, because look, eventually you want to remove the excess, okay, the excess powder. Okay, so in this case, see, I will just do like that, but sometimes there's still something left. All right, so you can grab a dry and clean, you know, a brush. Okay, and then just simply, okay, remove it and then put it back onto the container. Okay, so what happens if you forgot to actually put, you know, anti-static powder? Okay, with that one, see, I accidentally brushed the embossing powder from the letter R. Okay, so basically what happens, my friend, okay, so that's a father. We can already see it, right? So what happens if you didn't put anti-static powder? All those that you saw a while ago will be there. And then when you heat emboss them, the whole thing will have gold or embossing powder on it. So you don't want that. So if you can see, I used up very little of that embossing powder. And so now we will, hopefully, this heat gun works. Okay, hold on, my friend. I just hope, my friends, that this one works. These are the very, very cheap anti-static. So you see that there's that whirring sign. Okay, I mean sound. Okay, and so what we're gonna do is, heat it up a bit first. Okay, and then when it's already hot, you just, run it through. Okay, so you go, and then you will see that, okay, now you will see that it will change color. I don't know if you saw it change color. Then sometimes you want to do also at the back and at the front. Okay, so there you go. I don't think you saw. Okay, but basically that's it. Okay, so again, now you can create, heat embossed sentiments, heat embossed images of whatever, right? So there you go. Okay, so that is what heat embossing does. So what you need is your embossing powder, okay, your Versamark ink or your watermark stamp pad, and a heat gun. Of course, the stamp of your choice and a stamping block. And then you can now actually, hold on. Okay, maybe you want to turn this into, a sentiment. Okay, and then you'll just, cut it to size. Okay. And there you go. Okay, maybe you want to fishtail one of the edges. Okay, so you'll just create, something like that in the middle. Okay, and now you have your awesome sentiment that's heat embossed, right? So that's why heat embossing. But if you are using like what we use, right? So we use this stamping block, right? Sometimes the stamps are a little, not all stamps are created equal. There are some stamps, especially the cheaper ones. I'm not saying that they're all the same. Okay, there are actually cheaper stamps that actually stamp really well. But most of the time, you have issues with them. Some are splotchy. Maybe you didn't stamp it properly. You used a very hard surface, so the image isn't crisp. When you only have a stamping block, then it's gonna be an issue. Unless you want it to look like shabby chic, right? So it's not perfect. Perfection is not needed. Then it's okay. But if you want precision, so only using this is gonna be difficult. So just take note of that, okay? So the limitation of just using a stamping block, okay? So in a bit, we will show you the remedy. It's an evolution, actually, okay, of the stamping community. And in the beginning, I actually didn't like stamping because I was really having a difficulty creating very crisp images. All right. And then oh, that was my son. All right. So, all right. So, Don, happy meal. All right. There you go. Now I'm distracted by coffee. Oh, I would love some coffee if I can. Or cornstarch. Yes, there you go. Something that's quite light. Okay, not heavy, but preferably no smell. Okay. Are you sharing, Dawn, the coffee, not the cornstarch? All right. So a Hubster went to the store and brought back cream. Coffee with cream. The funny story. When I was younger, so we went to the States and then ordered, coffee. And I was asked, half and half? I didn't know what half and half meant. What do you mean by half and half? I don't know what's happening to my hair. I don't know what half and half meant, right? Because we didn't have that. It's either black coffee or coffee with cream. Okay, I didn't know that you can have cream with milk, right? So half and half, right? So anyway, that's something that probably you guys take for granted, but I really, didn't know. That is necessary for coffee. And he brought home stuff for lunch. Wow. Relationship goals over there, Dawn. Hi. Oh, B-Boy. Yes, B-Boy just passed by. Oh, well, it's, how do you say this? Hickory? Chicory. Is that a silent H, C? Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, if it's chicory or hickory. Okay, so there you go. Sounds, delicious. All right, let's go back to our list again. So we're done with the embossing powder, static powder, anti-static, Versamark, stamping platform, or positioner. All right. So we're gonna introduce the stamping platform, the colored ink pads, the blending brushes. And then alcohol markers, paper punchers, decorative washi tapes, and stencils and texture paste. Whew. Maybe I should have done this like one episode only for starter. It's just too many to go through, right? Okay, so finally, the advent of Misty. All right, so for my dear friends in the chat who are awesome crafters who've been in this rabbit hole for quite a while, what does Misty mean? Okay, so maybe, what does Misty mean? Okay, so this is the Misty. I love it so much that I have it in all sizes. I even have a 12 by 12, which is over there. B-Boy, can you kindly give me that one, sweetheart, under the typewriter? See, I have my typewriter on top of it. All right, that thing where the typewriter is sitting on. Okay, so I have the 3 sizes because it is really incredible. Okay, let me see. Okay, friends in the chat, what does Misty mean? Okay, let us help out, those who are new to it. All right, done. Yes, that is what Misty means. Okay, it means the most innovative stamp tool invented. Thus, MISTI. And it did. It revolutionized really the stamping industry. Even those who are like me, who said, I'll never do stamping. Because I just did dice. So I have a ton of dice. I have more dice than stamps. But now the stamps are barely, getting there. All right. But because I didn't like that, it's like to get a crisp stamp, you have to pray that you're going to do this the right way. Okay, you do have a stamp possessioner, but still it's a lot of work, right? But with this invention, it became so easy. So this is the 12 by 12. Okay, so if you can see, it's really big. All right, so I do have the 3 sizes. Okay. Do I need all of that, Lala? Absolutely not. You don't need the 12 by 12 unless you love doing things with a bigger, size, or like scrapbooks and stuff. But okay, if you are simply, just want to make A2 cards or tags, then, working with the smallest Misty is actually absolutely fine. Okay, you see the back of this one has something like a, what do you call this? A foam. Okay, so the purpose of which is if you want to use your stamp positioner. Okay, remember when I was trying to stamp, I didn't want to put my paper simply on top of the glass mat. Okay, because this one, it's very hard. When you stamp, it doesn't give you that added push or give, right? So it's just good if you didn't stamp it properly, that's it. But if you have something like this, it's hard, it's sturdy, but it can still, be pushed back a bit. So most of the time, you want, to do your stamping on things like that. All right. So before, if you buy a stamp, there's a free, okay, there's a free foam like this in each of the stamp. Okay. The purpose of which is so that when you stamp, you use that, and so you get nicer, crisper stamps or images. But then again, what if the stamp somehow is, it's wonky. There's always, it's blotchy, even if you've what do you call this? You've already tried so many ways to actually condition it, but still doesn't want to. Okay, so this tool actually is the answer. All right. So if you do want to make different kinds of sizes of cards, then this one, okay, you can use up to an A7 or a 5x7 card. Okay, so you see that there is something that's inside of this already. This is just an add-on, okay, not for beginners, but if you want to, okay, this is a sticky mat. Okay, it's not from Misty. I think Misty has its own sticky mat now, but this is a waffle flower one. The nice thing about this, it does have, a guide. So if you have like a square one, you have an A2 one, or you have a 5A7 one, then you know where to position your card. And the thing about that is that it would actually just stick to it. Okay, you don't need to put, where is the other? It's just here. I was holding it, right, friends? Now, where did I put it? I can't find it. Anyway, so, okay. So the original Misty came with this round magnets. Okay, so normally you would hold the paper like so, with the magnets. But sometimes, especially when you have thinner thinner stamps, so these are taller than the stamps. So sometimes you don't get very crisp images because these are thicker than the stamp, right? And then they came up, and sometimes this will move. So they came up with bar magnets, which is in the other Misty, but I can't find it. I don't remember where I put it. Right. So then came the advent of the sticky mats. So with the sticky mat, you don't even need to hold it with anything, right? So again, the nice thing about this one is, okay, this one, okay. So the nice thing about this one is it holds the paper. You don't need magnets anymore. So whether you are ink blending, you are stamping, it lessens, the possibility of making a mistake. Okay, so what this tool does finally, after so many segue, is, okay, let me try and look for maybe an image. Okay, let's say this one. Okay. Okay, no, let's make normally solid stamps. Those are the ones that are kind of hard to. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, see, it's a solid stamp. So this one normally, okay, you can't get this, perfectly on the first, stamp. Okay, so normally what you do is you position the stamp, okay, the back of the stamp, okay, is facing you. Okay, so it's a little dirty. All right. Okay, since I'm not going to be heat embossing, I'm just going to be stamping. So no need to put, anti-static powder. Okay, so just put it, you put it where you want to. Okay, and then close the door. And then it will grab the stamp. Like so. You see? The stamp is already there. Okay? So therefore, if you make a mistake, or if you're not satisfied with the image that got created, then you can go back and ink it again. Alright, so let us use, okay. This one is from Altenew. It's a dye ink. Okay, I haven't used this for a long time. Okay. All right, so you can see that I inked. Okay. Okay, let's ink the word faith as well. Okay. Since it's there already, I forgot to remove it the last time I used it. All right. So, and then just close the door. Okay, and rub. Now, if you have, okay, do you know what this is? I know it looks like a bee, right? But it's a whiteboard eraser. Okay, and that is what I use. Okay, because I have very weak hands, right? So sometimes I cannot even do like that. Okay, I cannot do like that because I have very weak hands. Okay, so I use this very high-tech tool, a whiteboard eraser. Okay, and then, okay, so you see there's still white spots over there. And the faith, somehow the A is not, not perfect. Okay, so I will just go through it again. Okay, I didn't do anything. Okay, I just open the door and I will just ink. Okay, ink through it again. Okay. Okay, and then I will close it. Okay, and I will, okay. There you go. There's something wrong with my A. Okay. There you go. Now you have your image. Okay. If you didn't have a platform like this, you will not be able to go back and stamp it again. Right? So that's why if you want to try out stamping, okay, and you want to have, better options, not just, regular stamping where you just want sentiments or basic shapes. Sometimes you want intricate ones, you want to do different techniques. Then having a stamp platform is, okay, definitely a must. Okay, by the way, another thing, baby wipes and a piece of rug, right? So you must have those, of course, in your stash. All right, so don't forget to clean, okay, your stamps, okay, and your platform as well. There you go. Right, so this is really incredible. Okay, so as a card maker, you know what I used prior to the advent of this one? Because when this got released, I think it was like out of stock. So but I said, I want that. How, it took a while for it to be available here in the Philippines. You know what I did? You know those old CD containers, right? Imagine. Do you know what CDs are? I'm not sure. I think you know, right? Most of you. So what the CD containers, like the CDs inside, right? So I just remove the one that actually holds the CD. So it's just a container. So I would stick the stamp onto the CD container, right? But it's not perfect, but that because it's very thin, right? So you can't really, it would crack. But that was the second best, okay, before I actually got my very first. So my very first Misty is actually the standard size Misty. And then the 12 by 12. And, fairly recently, about 5 years ago maybe or 4, the smaller one. So I was like stopping myself from getting it because I already have 2. Not just that, I also have other brands. I also have the Tim Holtz one. I also have the We Are Memory Keepers one. Just because I wanted to test it out, right? But if you really want to buy and you just have, you just want one, I would highly suggest the Misty. Again, I tagged this as one of the products in the carousel in the description of this video. Again, Dawn, thank you for the most innovative stamp tool invented. Indeed, that is what Misty means. All right. So now, basically, all the craft brands have something similar. Okay. But this is really the original. Nothing covering your workspace on paper. Huh? Oh, yes, I think. I never knew what Misty meant. Yes, Crystal, now thanks to. Okay, Dawn, we all know it. That's still me. Even with the stamping platform, I like the ready-made sentiment strips. Oh, yes, the advent of the ready-made sentiment strips, right? Awesome. Okay, and so when I saw that, when I visited Pink and Maine 2 years ago when I was in Florida, I was like, oh! And then some of them were even ready to foil, right? And then foiling that time was kind of fairly new in a sense, right? So there you go. Let me see. Okay, so now I can go down. Okay. Hi. Oh my. Hi. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to say your name. If I'm gonna butcher it, I'm so sorry. Ravneet Kaur. I hope I did that correctly. Ravneet, thank you so much. Hello, hello. Okay, hello Ravneet. Everybody saying hi to you. Oh yes, CD cases, right? But it's very flimsy. So I had to go through many CD cases and I have to make sure I don't press too hard, right? So CD, so late, 1900s. Because, guys, all of you were buying this big time. It couldn't reach the Philippines fast enough. Right? So it took a while for it to actually be available here. And I was super duper happy, that I really, pre-ordered it in one of my, actually the one I tagged here. Okay, lasting impression. Okay, so they're the ones I actually love buying tools from. I pre-ordered mine from them. And this has been with me, okay, since 1900s joke. All right, so now that we have that, let's just go back to my list. Okay, so colored ink pads, blending brushes, alcohol markers, paper punches, decorative washi, and stencils. All right, so let's go to those. All right, and then the advent of, okay, so you saw me already use it, okay? So one of my favorite inks, okay, when you buy, okay, if you can see, I have more inks that are, what do you call this? Mini ink pads, right? Again, because it's quite expensive, honestly, right? The bigger ones. So, I like buying the mini ones when it became available. So before, actually, the minis were only those that have generic. Okay, so most of the branded ones come in like very big. So if you want to see the ways I actually store my stamps and dies and stuff, you can go over my craft room tour videos. I have so many. It's like every other year I make a craft room tour video. All right. So these are the regular ink pad sizes, right? So these are a little bit more expensive, right? So it's like this, okay, and I store them in stackable acrylics like this. These are actually from just your equivalent of a dollar store here in the Philippines. We call it Japan Home or Daiso, right? So, and then these are some of my Catherine Puller inks, okay. So each container can carry 12 or a dozen, right? So like that. But these are a little bit more expensive than the minis, okay? So for the minis, this is how I store them. I like it because even if, accidentally, it's not gonna, topple over. Okay, and if I want, I can actually just get, the 4, and 2 can fit in each one. So I love it. I love this container. Again, just from a dollar store equivalent there in the US. Here in the Philippines, it's Daiso and Japan Home. So there you go. And then I label them. Okay, so the brand and then 1 of 3, meaning I have 3 containers. Okay, so this is the first of 3. This is the second of three. This is the third of three. Why? Prior to what happened to us several years ago, where we couldn't go out into the world, we would always be crafting every Friday nights, at least once a week with others. And so I would bring in my big roller cart with all my stuff in it, right? So you see most of my stuff have my name on it. You see? It has my name. Because when you go to, face-to-face craft, sometimes you would be seated with somebody who has the same stuff, right? And since when we're crafting already, so all your materials are on the table, and then you don't know, you actually grab somebody else's. So if you are going on a craft event, getaway, whatever, make sure that you label everything, because most often than not, others will have the same thing. So that you make sure that you still have what you have, okay, what is really yours. All right, so that's why I have that, so it will make it easier for me to see, oh, I'm missing something, because there should be 3 of 3. I only have 2 of 3, so where's the other one, right? So something like that. Okay, I hope that helps. As your collection starts to grow, then your next problem would be, okay, the organization. Okay, but it's a happy problem nonetheless, right? All right, why? Because full set syndrome. Okay, sorry, I can so relate with the full set syndrome. Okay, what Susan T is saying, for those who are quite new, it means that, if they come out with, normally they don't come out with like 120 colors all at the same. Normally they would roll out 12 first or 24 first. And so, but normally you just need a black or a red or a green or a brown, okay, or maybe just the basic colors. But then you see, oh my goodness, that is so nice. I want that as well. And then eventually you want the whole system. That's what Susan is saying. Right? The full, okay, collection. Okay, where is that? Where? Okay, I can't find it anymore. Okay, there you go. Okay, full set syndrome. It is a syndrome indeed, my friend, because truth be told, we don't really need all the colors. But we have that notion that, but what if there's a project and then I don't have that specific color? Right, so there you go. But no judgment. Because I'm in the same thing. If you can afford it and it's available, then go ahead, my friend. Right? So you do you, as one of our dear, mentors in the industry. Okay, that's Tim Holtz would say. Right? So what makes you happy? Go ahead. As long as, again, you can afford it. Okay, then go ahead. All right. See? Okay, blending brushes. Okay, so colored ink pads, blending brushes. All right, so this is, okay, there are many ways to store your blending brushes. Okay, so this is one. So I combine, okay, so because sometimes there's a certain look that's sometimes better achieved by using, the old method of, using this wooden blending tools. And then sometimes, or oftentimes, having this blending brushes, okay, is actually easy. Okay, and it's very cheap. Okay, I actually put the link in the description as well. I tag the product carousel for this. Okay, where you can get this. Okay, I even have a version of that. So it can be like that, or it can be actually like blending brushes for makeup, or something like this. So when I bought this, it comes out like something like this, right? So it's very long, and so I just put it apart and I don't put it back because it ruins the bristles. Okay, so basically, this is red. So you just put it in one of your fingers, okay, and then you blend. Okay, so again, blending tools, so many options, my friend. Okay, but basically what it does is, okay, so from your inks, now you don't have just black ink. Now you have different ink. All right, and then from this ink, you actually, got the ink that most of us, oh, where is it? Okay. All right. Absolutely. I have the full set syndrome for this. Okay. Yes, the distress oxide, I have all of them. Okay. And I feel that I really use most, okay, if not all of them. Okay. So this is one ink set that I feel that we can, you can have a full set of, because it's very, very useful. You can create so many techniques. Okay, if you want to see the many ways, you go to Jennifer Maguire, Kay Werner, and of course people in our community. You can go to T, Not Afraid of Color, Elizabeth Costa Rogers, Lynn, okay, the people in the chat actually, so basically this is something like a staple, right? So for us here in the Philippines, it's like any meal is not a meal if there's no rice. Right? So it's like when you want to color, create backgrounds and stuff. So distress oxides or distress inks are always, often a part of, your card making. All right, so there you go. So you have the inks, the different brushes. Okay, so let me see. Oh, Susan, I use Q-tips. Okay, cotton swabs when I don't want to pull out my brushes. See? Okay, I've not used cotton swabs. Okay, thank you so much, Susan, for that, suggestion. Why not? Right? So, because they also absorb ink, and you can also use it, especially maybe very detailed ones, right? It's very small stamps. That's a great technique, Susan. I'm gonna use that one of these days, right? So thank you, Susan, for sharing. And we have Jenna. This is J Marie Designed, okay, on YouTube. Okay, thank you, Jenna, for dropping by. How often do you re-ink the Distress Oxide ink pads? Truth be told, okay, so this is Table in the Attic Creations by Sweeta. Okay, your surname is very hard. Changela or Shangela. Sorry if I'm butchering your surname, but truth be told, I have not re-inked any of, and I use them a lot, okay, except for the white. I don't know what's with the white. The white and the gray and the black. Those three. Okay, otherwise, none yet. Because another way is for me to, okay, hold on. That spray, spray, if you want to revive your inks. I am trying to look for it. At any rate, if you don't have that, something I learned from the frugal crafter. Okay, I watched her video. Because there was a time I have, Sammy, and then B-Boy came along, and then when B-Boy was young, he's somehow differently abled, right? So I needed to focus more on my kids when they were growing up. And so crafting had to take a back seat for a while. And you know how the stamps are, even if you store them like this, right? So they said before, you have to store them, the pads under like this, so that the ink will not settle at the bottom, stuff like that, right? So I did have a lot of inks, and I think I did a video on that one 3 years ago where I actually showcased a lot of the stamps that somehow really dried. Okay, but I found out from the Frugal Crafter that you can create your own. So it's a combination of water and glycerin. Okay, so the glycerin I bought from the pharmacy, okay, or a drugstore or craft store, and then I combined that with water. I think it was I forgot the actual ratio. And then, so it felt like having a Versamark. Okay, and then I spritzed it on top of the pads, and it did revive most, but not all. The others really, especially the spongy ones, most of the pigment ones, they crumbled. Okay, it's really, it's gone. Okay, so I did have a 10-year hiatus, okay, from crafting. When my kids were younger, I really just needed to focus on them, and then when they got bigger and I could go back to crafting, then that's it, right? So for my oxide, so for the distress inks, I did have to retire some of them, but the distress oxides, I still have a complete set and have, not refilled. Although I have a lot of reinkers, because you actually can use the reinkers as well for different techniques, right? There you go. You got it. Hello, Sweta. Who is... Okay, there you go. Creations by Sweta. Okay. Oh, is that how you want to be? Okay, Sweta. Okay, because that's your first name, right? Table in the attic. I like that. So you craft in your attic? Because we have a crafter here in the Philippines, and she's a local craft store as well. Nanette, her store is called My Little Attic, and the reason behind that is when she was starting out with crafting, she really crafted in her attic. Okay, now she does not, but that's how it's all started. So now My Little Attic Studio. Okay, that's her name. So maybe Sweta actually crafts or started crafting in her attic. Yep, there you go, right? So awesome. Okay, so there you go. Let me just go back to our list. Okay, so blending blushes, check. Oh, alcohol markers. Okay, let's go to the alcohol markers. Oh my goodness, guys. I've been live since 8:39. More than 2 hours. I hope that you guys have eaten your breakfast. It's almost time for lunch. I'm sorry. Okay, again, I should have thought of cutting this topic into several. Okay. All right. So, alcohol. Okay. So this is how I store. Oh, by the way, okay, I will be part of the Craft 101 workshop. This is for those who are, based in the Philippines. Okay, this is going to be on May 31st. You can actually now register, and I will be showcasing card making. So I am not the only one who's gonna be, teaching. There are so many. It starts from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So imagine how many make and takes that you can actually, do in this event. All right. So I would like to invite you over for that. Again, sorry, it's a face-to-face event. So for my dear friends in the other parts of the globe, okay, this cannot be for you, but I hope that you can join. Okay. But if you are international, this is something that you can actually, not the mystery card, but hold on. Where is it? Okay. Where is it? Okay, classes. There you go. All right. So this one, my friend. Okay, so the Stretcher Supplies, okay, masterclass. I'm actually part of that masterclass. It started already. It was launched last week. Okay, so don't worry if you aren't able to attend or register for that, because this is an ongoing class. So we showed you different ways to stretch your supplies. Okay, your most used supplies like your stamps, your dies, okay, your stencils, embossing folders, and press plates. All right, so I'm one of those who are part of the masterclass, who will teach the masterclass, and I showed 5 different ways to use the die. So this is an ongoing class that you can buy over on lvhandcrafted.com. Yes, this is hosted by our dear friend Lynn. Yes, it's still available for purchase. All right, so of course we have the mystery kits. Okay, we are going to have this on May 12th, I think. All right, so it's our monthly live streaming hop. Okay, I will be part of the hop. And yes, I'm always the last because if I'm the first, it will be around 4 a.m. my time. So because they're very kind to me, I am always the last in the hop. So it's just 6 a.m. So not too early for me. Oops, not that one. All right. So, and for those who are again in the Philippines, okay, my center, LSJ Learning Hub, is going to be hosting a summer jewelry and accessory workshop. This is in cooperation with Camp Beads, who actually my teachers and mentors for jewelry making. So it's entitled Sun, Sea, and Beads. So we are going to create what you see on the screen right now. Registration is ongoing over at LSJ Learning Hub on Facebook. And of course, okay, so there you go, the PF Crafts bag. Okay, going back. Alcohol inks. All right. For those who have been following me and know me, coloring is not one of my strengths. I can color, and since I actually have been attending Meg's classes, I feel I have like improved, leaps and bounds. Right? So thank you so much, Meg, okay, for the many tips. And as well as T, Dawn, you guys have inspired me. Okay, so one of the things I use to create or make coloring easy is alcohol markers. And this is how I actually store them. So I have this acrylic containers and they come in, I do have like a cabinet where I put them. So I do arrange them by colors like so. So there's a cabinet that goes like that and like that. So, and they're all at the back. So if I do need to color, it's so easy to pull them. And recently, I actually found, because, for some weird reason, I don't know, a lot of my Copic markers have been having cracks. And so a lot of them have dried up and it's quite expensive. So I found a cheaper alternative, and that's the Ohuhu brand. And it's here in the Philippines, right? So I don't think I was able to put that in or tag the product, but Ohuhu markers are actually also one alcohol marker brand that you can use. It's great for coloring because it allows you to actually blend stuff, right? So there are many actually alcohol marker brands in the market. And also, if you have another way to color things or your stamp, it's in our with markers, with color pencils. And these are my favorite, which are the Prisma. Okay, I find that the pigments in the Prismacolor is very soft and it's so easy to blend compared to others. Although there are other brands as well, and if you want to see some of the markers, pencils that I use for coloring, simply because I have them, all right, so you can check out some of the videos I have. So now that you have leveled up, so you now have inks, you now have, colored inks, you have a stamping platform, you have, blending tools and stuff, right? So another thing that you can add is, okay, remember in the past, okay, in the 1900s, prior to the dies, all right? So what we actually had were punchers. Okay, not even punchers that look like this. Punchers where you put a paper and then you push them down like so. But these are punchers that I find are easier. Okay, so what you do with this is that you push in the paper. Okay, and then you just simply, instead of that, normally especially if I'm trying to use scraps, because here you can see where the paper will go. Right? So if I want to create several, right? So you see, okay, so I can move a little bit. All right, so that's how the punchers work, right? So it's easy to create different shapes. So if you don't want, because you don't have a die cutting machine, right? So maybe you didn't want to invest in that. So another option for you to create shapes and different, base are your punchers. But then the thing with these punchers, they're not also cheap. They're a little bit spendy as well, as Jay would say, and they're bulky. So storage is gonna be a problem if I have a lot of this, but most of them are border punches and basic shapes. And normally I have them layering. So I have that and then the bigger one and the biggest one, something like that. So I can create something like a layer, right? So these are punches. And then you have punches like this that can create tags, right? So if you have something like this, okay, and then you would cut it a little bit, shorter, narrower. If only I can, okay. See, I have so many, just I cannot find the small one. There you go. It's on the floor. Everything is on the floor now. But everything is on the floor, right? So you can cut this. Okay, let's say 2.5. All right, so you have your puncher. Okay, so a little bit more. Okay, so the nice thing about this puncher, this is from PF Crafts. Okay, so you just push it in like so. Okay, so it will tell you. So like this one, if you have 1.5 inches, this is what you're gonna get. If you have 2.5 inches, this one, it's gonna look like that. If you have 2 inches, it's gonna look like that. Okay, so let's show. Okay, so you have that. Okay, with the side like that. Now, what if you have, okay, so you have 2 inches. Okay, so if you have 2 inches, okay, then you just, okay, there's a groove there, right? So you just put it like so, and then it's gonna look like this. Okay, so it's so easy to create a tag. So you see the difference? This one has like a notch on the edge. This one's gonna be straight. So what if you have one that is 1.5? So we don't want that very long tag. Okay, so let's create one that is just 1 inch. Okay, maybe a small tab. Okay, so you just put it, okay, in the middle. Oh, it's too small. Okay, I need a longer one. Okay, because I can't hold it. Okay, all right, so a longer one. Okay, and then, okay, and punch. Okay, there you have it. Okay, so with one punch, okay, you can have different looks. Okay, different punch. Okay, so there are punchers like that, right? So that's again another great addition. So I normally don't buy the very but actually I have, I have a puncher for sun, for waves, for I don't know why as well, but I do. All right. So now it can be used by, members of my club. All right. Okay. I craft in my attic. There you go. Sweta. I will check you out, Sweta. All right. Do you do videos or just are you live stream or you do both? Okay. I think this is the first time I've seen you in the chat. So hello and thank you and welcome. Okay. So I hope that you will check out also the other people that you see in the chat. Most of them have channels, whether on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. All right, so those are the punchers. Okay, so decorative washi, stencils, and texture paste. Okay, so for the stencils, my friend, I feel that I will not... Oh! I will not demo this one anymore because I wasn't able to prepare a pail of water. Okay, and normally when I use stencils, especially with texture paste, I make sure that I have something like that beside me because I need it to make sure that my stencils will not get ruined. You see, I've had these stencils forever, but some have already, what do you call that? Stained, but they're still very much, good working condition. Okay, because you really need to make sure that you clean them immediately. So, especially if you're using it for mixed media, so that the paints or the texture paste specifically will not. Okay, if you don't have a texture paste, you can always use something like a modeling paste. Okay, and then you also need, okay, ah, like this kind of a tool to to, what do you call this, to put it on. Okay, so you have your piece of paper, you have your stencils are actually, these are called mylar. Okay, so one of the ways actually in the stretcher supplies class that I taught for the master class is how to use your dies, because your dies 5 ways, how to use your dies to create stencils, right? So these are mylars, okay, plastic, and this is the best um, material to use for stencils. Okay, so you will grab a bit of this one and then just glide it over like so, and then remove it. Okay, and then you would see the texture like so. It's not there because I don't want to do it because I don't have, okay, prepared pail of water beside me. Okay, so that's again the stencil. And then okay, so all right, so that is it for this one. Okay, so you know what, I still have the advanced and artsy add-ons. Okay, so rather than going through this, I think will take me another hour or more. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do, my friends. There's definitely gonna be a part two. All right, so the part two, I will do that, and then with this time around, because that's more advanced, I will create projects, okay, out of those. All right, so you can actually see in a better way what they will, because most of the things I showed you today, showcased to you today, are basically, I feel you've seen them, all right, or you've actually seen others, okay, use it. But on the next one, okay, so this is a preview. So you do have, again, for those who are in the chat, I know that most of you have this already, okay, but I would definitely show you more detail of this one in the next episode. Sorry, I really wanted to do this in one episode, but it just so happens that I don't think it's already 11, and I have there's a challenge that I'm part of that will start at 2 a.m. So it's already 11. And then there's an event at 12 where we are like supposed to have a meeting or something. So I really need to go. But okay, so hold on. Dawn said, I used to craft in my basement. Right? So we all started somewhere, somehow. Okay? So I crafted on the floor and on the bed. I started out with just one small bag of materials. And then it became several bags. And then it became several boxes. And then it became several crates. And then the rest is history. And so I know you guys can relate, right? But then again, if somebody had guided me, given me like a basic list of what I'm trying to do today, then you won't need to go and buy every cute thing that you see in the market and every sale item that you see in the market. I know it's very tempting, right? But truth be said, okay, if you just want to start crafting, okay, these are the only things that you need. Okay, so for level 1 beginner, you just need a paper trimmer or scissors, a bone folders. This one can even be, just your fingers, okay, or a blunt object, craft mat, double-sided tape or liquid. Okay, you have foam tape, okay, ruler, pencil and eraser, black fine liner pen, acrylic block, starter ink pad, and small clear stamps. So I think all of these things you probably have at home, except for probably you don't have an acrylic block or an ink pad. Okay, so maybe these are the only things that you would need to buy as a beginner. And of course, the stamps that you want to use. And of course, the pattern paper, pre-folded card bases that you need. Okay, now after that, you want to level up a little bit. You've seen so many YouTube videos and like, wow, that's so cute. How do I actually make those? So you need a little bit more additional tools like die cutting machines, basic dies that you can use for your die cutting machines, heat tool, embossing powder, anti-static powder, Versamark or embossing ink pads, stamping platform, colored ink pads. Now there's color. Before it was just black. And then you can also add on blending brushes, alcohol markers, paper punches, decorative washi tape, stencils, and texture paste. Actually, with this list, my friends, you can actually create already a ton of amazing projects. You can even, start doing mixed media stuff with those set of, materials that I mentioned in the list. All right. Whew. Go get some sleep, Lala. Yes, I will. It's just a 5-day challenge anyway. So, and I am enjoying it. The challenge is awesome. I've been live streaming for 4.5 years, and I thought I knew more or less, I think I know already a lot of things. But having gone through the challenge again, it just made me realize that it actually is still fun to learn new things, right? So, did you see I have a trailer now? I know, right? Trailer has been available for many, many years. It's just that I never did get to work on it. I was lazy. But because of the challenge, I was able to create finally a trailer for my channel. All right. So again, thank you so much, my dear friends, for joining me, for spending so much time with me today. I thank you so much. And I hope that, it's the middle of the week, that you are having fun. And I celebrate, of course, with Susan T. No more meds. All right. So just maintain whatever it is that's healthy living and healthy diet that you have now, my friend. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here with me. Please, if you are new to the channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes, of course, I want to somehow flex these products from my dear friend. Yes, if you have not yet pushed that notification bell, please do so. And absolutely share away. These are actually placards, wood placards. He used a CNC machine to actually create this one. He is Matt Haas of Awesome Fun Things. You could check him out as well. He's also on YouTube. And please like this video and absolutely subscribe, my dear friends. Check if you think you've been subscribed to me for a long time. Kindly check, because sometimes, somehow something happens and then you'll be surprised. Oh, I'm not subscribed anymore. What happened? I don't know also, but it does happen when there are changes to the algorithm. All right. So thank you again. Thank you as well, Susan. And we celebrate with you, my dear friend. So that was Blossom. Oh, sorry. Yes, Blossom. See? I think I need sleep again. Thank you so much, Susan. All right. I really appreciate you guys coming over here, especially when there's so many of us going live. Thank you so much. So again, this Saturday is another crafty night here at Mommy Guide Inc. And this time it's going to be faith journaling. And we're going to be joined by one of our dear crafty friends, Jay Thomas of Craft by Jay. Again, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day, my dear friends. And I'll see you this Saturday. God bless you. And I hope that this has helped you if you are a beginner crafter to start creating what is happening. To start creating your basic, toolkit. Bye, everyone. Yes, bye, Dawn. Bye, Susan. And thank you so much, Sweta, for dropping by. God bless you. Bye.